Donald Trump is doing more than reshaping the government during the first year of his second term. He's also reshaping American culture. Trump says wokeness has distorted our museums, our sports, and even the nation's youth. He is pushing to restore a vision of national identity rooted in earlier decades. To explore Trump's influence, I visited 3 people who closely follow the politics of culture or help to shape it. One of the best places to see that cultural shift up close is right here.
This is AmericaFest, part political rally, part influencer convention. This annual event from Turning Point brings together conservative influencers who have millions of young online followers. They support President Trump's vision of America, and they push politics into the online spaces where young people spend their time.
One of the most popular young conservatives here is Benny Johnson, known for delivering political commentary with provocative humor.
I wanted to start by saying, I love you, Merry Christmas!
So a year ago, it seemed that MAGA had won the culture. NFL players were doing the Trump dance in the end zone.
Yes.
Kids were wearing their MAGA hats on campus. Is MAGA still winning the culture?
Young men know in their bones that they want to get married, start families, own property, have a life, and seize the American dream. What young men and women want is an American future for Americans.
Outside the convention hall, however, support for Trump among young people is falling. Recent polls find that 60% or more of young voters, those under age 30, now disapprove of the president's job performance. Even though Trump has tried to reach younger voters by speaking the language many of them use, like memes and videos. Critics say Trump is coarsening our political conversation by insulting his opponents.
The internet loves memes. The internet loves talking. It's called posting. It's the way that Donald Trump proves that he's a real person, like the way that he connects with his base.
Trump won the last election in large part by meeting Americans where they gather, on YouTube, in podcasts, and also by attending a range of sports events, such as the Ultimate Fighting Championship.
The UFC and Donald Trump have a long history. At a time when states were banning this sport for being too violent, Trump gave it a home at one of his casinos. Now he's going to give it a home again, this time on the White House lawn as part of America's 250th birthday.
UFC Chief Executive Dana White is among the president's most loyal supporters.
Donald J. Trump!
White works from a luxurious man cave of an office that reflects his particular brand of masculinity.
That's a real samurai from the early 1600s, and that's a real saber-tooth. Not broken, all the teeth, the jaw, everything.
This is authentic.
Yeah, I got that from the Japanese museum.
A lot of the growth of the UFC has come at the same time that Donald Trump's MAGA movement has also become such a dominating force.
The president is a huge fight fan. When we first bought the company, it wasn't even allowed on pay-per-view, let alone free television and things like that. And then venues didn't want us. But Trump reached out and said, come to the Taj Mahal, and we went. Now, to be able to go in and put it on an event at the White House is just absolutely mind-boggling.
Do you have any concern that bringing combat sports to the White House is sending maybe the wrong message or amplifying coarseness in America?
No. Fighting has always been a part of not just American culture, but world culture.
Donald Trump has been a supporter and a fan from the beginning.
Yes. Donald Trump is the most resilient human being that I've ever met in my life. And if you ever wanted to look up what the definition of a fighter is, that guy's it. He loves this country. He believes in America and what it represents.
And when you say what it represents, what comes to mind to you about what America represents and where the UFC fits in?
We had to fight for our freedom. This is a place where you can come and have nothing, and you can build an incredible life for yourself. And everybody has the opportunity to live the American dream here. It's very, very real.
Beyond the UFC, sports have become a cultural battlefield. Trump is pushing Washington, D.C.'s football team to change its name back to the Redskins. And many figures in Trump's MAGA movement are angry that for the next Super Bowl halftime show, the NFL selected Bad Bunny, a critic of mass deportations. Trump is also trying to restore the narratives told in the country's cultural institutions, especially its museums. Trump thinks our museums have focused too much on racial injustice at the expense of celebrating America's successes and its quest for freedom.
We want the museums to talk about the history of our country in a fair manner, not in a woke manner or in a racist manner.
We're here on the National Mall, and this distinctive building is the National Museum of African American History and Culture. And it's one of the museums that has got the president's attention.
To learn more about the president's goals, I sat down with Michael Gonzalez, a senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation who specializes in cultural identity.
Why does the president want a review of Smithsonian exhibits?
The museums shifted very radically from being a preserver of the national inheritance and a transmitter of the national inheritance to the opposite, a place of resistance and a place that sees America as divided between the oppressed and the oppressor. The art history museum says we have to stop, presenting the pale, male, and wealthy. No, that's not it. The role of the National History Museum, if it's going to call itself a National History Museum, is to present the story of America.
But are you saying there's too much focus on race?
Completely too much. I mean, we have to make race less salient in our society, not more salient. It is the public's money, and the national museums at the Smithsonian have to tell the story of America, not the story of America seen through this prism of a battle between the marginalized and the dominant classes. That is a completely ideological exercise.
Trump has criticized exhibitions on white privilege, LGBTQ history, and immigration, saying they rewrite the story of America. Trump is pushing for a more traditional vision of the country. His critics say it erases history. His supporters say it restores it.
Back at AmericaFest, Trump's vision is still guiding the conversation. Whether it's in our museums or our sporting arenas or online where young people spend their time, the fight over culture is a fight over national identity. And as America moves closer to celebrating its 250th birthday, the battle over how to tell the story of America will only become more central.